You have fought long and hard to get the procurement manager from the agency that you have been trying to get to for ages, and they are on your site. Super, super exciting. So now the next question is, can they find what they need? Are they going to be able to navigate your site quickly and be able to understand what it is that they came to your site to understand? That's what my colleague Laura and I are about to chat about today. I'm Erica.
Laura Mayer.
Super exciting. So today we're talking about government contracting websites and about their navigation. So the primary navigation, what is there, and how do we make sure that it's working at its optimal? So Laura, what makes a great government contracting website navigation?
Navigation, I think, like all the navigation is, it needs to be easy to see and easy to navigate, right? They want to quickly get to whatever that thing is that they want to get more information about. So it needs to be not only logically placed, but also if you were working with people of all different abilities, it needs to be accessible. So you want to make sure there are menu items that are clear, that draw your attention, and are easy to read.
Yeah, I think that that's absolutely right. All of those things. Also, there's sort of an idea of like what looks great and what's trendy. The hamburger menu has been something, at least a couple of years ago, that people were big on. We need to make sure that your audience is going to understand it, because it doesn't matter how leading edge it is if people can't find what they're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think often too, when you're working particularly in the government contract realm, I think we see this a lot, right? We see a lot of where the technical work and the design work come together. And there are definitely groups where you want to be very creative and very ahead of your colleagues in design. The government space is not typically that kind of environment. It's more no nonsense, it's more business and straight to the point. Anything you do on your site needs to make sense. Now, that said, if your business is about design, you do want to pepper that into your contracting website. But overall, you just want it to be simple and quick to get to.
And not too much choice. That's one of the things that we see, particularly when a website, maybe it's been a few years since it's been redone. And what happens when that happens, right? If it's been a few years, you start sort of, as you expand and you're not thinking about things on this holistic level, you kind of just, I use the Yiddish term ungepatchka. You kind of just ungepatchka put things on, right? And now all of a sudden you've got all these things on there, but you just can't have that many things, too many choices, because it just creates confusion.
Yeah. We see that all the time. I think that's sometimes our biggest challenge. I'm going off topic a little bit, but when we talk to our subject matter experts, they have such a depth of stuff that they know, and they want to put it all on the website, all right in everybody's face, so everyone can see it. And what happens is there's so much that the viewer can't ingest it and can't take their journey through the information. So it's important not to fire hose information uh, at your users.
Worst case scenario, they actually become overwhelmed by it and they just sort of say, oh, you know what? I'm going to go get some water. And then you've lost them, right?
Yeah, they're
Like
gone.
you've
Right.
lost them. You've overwhelmed them and they think they're coming back, but they're going to get distracted because it's 2024. And so they're gone.
Yes.
Logical drop downs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make an admission here and say that Spring Insight went through sort of a fun drop down menu thing where we were having sort of fun with it, and you sort of come to the realization, no, there's a place for fun. It is not in the navigation. It needs to be logical and it needs to be able to maintain the hierarchy of the navigation that you have, right? Because you need to be like, about. That sounds boring, but you know what? About is a great basket that's going to be able to hold a lot of content inside of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just because you can doesn't mean you should put all the stuff there for sure. I think also we often get into when we think about the technical aspects and the design of the navigation menu. sometimes we want to put in these big mega menus or really exciting things that the child items can do. Again, there's a place for it, right? And you don't want to put too much of that in there because ultimately your user just be able to hover, get to where they're going, see it, and go. They don't want to have to look all around. They don't want to wait for a fun animation to happen. They just want to get to it.
Yeah, and the next one is something that we see a surprising amount, which is making sure that you label your pages for the viewer's ease and not yours. And I think,
Right.
what happens a lot is we get very tied up in, maybe it's the way that our business is structured. And so departmentally, these two things are connected, or somehow in our mind, things are connected, that they're connected differently for viewers. And so making sure that you truly are looking at something through the eyes of the person who's visiting and not through your own, and creating the pathways that reflect that.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes, oftentimes where a firm like ours comes in, it's very beneficial because it's so easy to get wrapped up in your own content. One knows their own business so well and what they do so well, and they're so into it that they don't realize the people that are coming in for just a more shallow look, their eye needs to come to certain information that the subject matter experts' eye just tends to glean, just glimpse right over.
Right. Well, because they learned it so long ago, right? I mean, that's one of the
Yeah,
things that, it's sort of an interesting. I read recently, I don't remember where, but I read recently that sometimes the people who are the most expert, the professors who have the biggest depth of knowledge, are the poorest teachers, because it's been so long that since they've learned, or at least the poorest teachers for people who are in the 101, right? Because they learned that
right, for sure.
101 so long ago, right? They have surpassed that. They're going to be awesome at the graduate level, but the one-on-one, they've forgotten they've forgotten what it was to learn that.
Yeah.
And that, I think, happens on these websites too, where people are speaking at such a high level that they're not able to really bring people in who've just arrived.
Right, right. They have to have that fundamental baseline of knowledge of what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Now back to things that are very specific
Yeah,
to the government contracting websites, is making sure that those pieces, we talk about these pieces all the time, the pieces that we know are the ones that people are most likely to be looking for: the capabilities page,
yeah,
the contract vehicles, the certifications and the designations, making
yeah.
sure that they're really super findable, and that it's not just that, you don't have to search for them, right? You can see where they are.
NAICS codes, NAICS codes, NAICS codes, right? In multiple spots. Teams come together quickly. You need to see what those are. That's, yeah, capabilities, sure, the one pager.
I mean, if you think about it, those are to what a rest to like what hours of operation are to a restaurant. They're the thing that people need to come in and just view very, very quickly. And
Yes,
then finally, I think we've come to your favorite topic, Laura. Don't forget about accessibility.
right. We cannot forget about accessibility, and it's so easy to forget about if it's not a challenge for any of us. And I think, what is it? 2026 is coming up here where lots of organizations will, by the Department of Justice, we've done other talks on this, will need to be WCAG 2.1 compliant. So, yeah, you have to think about accessibility.
That is a big thing with those menu items. And not only, by the way, because you have to, but also because it's the right thing to do, right? You want to make
Sure.
sure you're serving all of the audience and that they're able to navigate your site.
Yeah, fill out forms. That's something that we often don't think about. Screen readers, particularly in the government contracting world and in the government working world, it's very inclusive. There are people of all different abilities working at different capacities and different jobs. And so if they're looking at your site, they need to be able to tab through. A screen reader needs to read to them where they're navigating. They need to be able to skip the main body content. If they're filling out any forms, the IDs and labels need to match for that screen reader so it makes sense. So many things where it really, if not an organization like Spring Insight, whatever organization a government contractor is thinking about for their web development or their application development, you certainly want to make sure that they are well versed in accessibility and the technical implementation of those specific things to make one compliant. It's absolutely mandatory if you're working in the government realm, or will be soon.
Absolutely mandatory. Well, Laura, as always, this was a complete pleasure to get together and chat with you about these items. Thank you so much, and for everybody watching this video, thanks so much. This
Thank
is
you.
it's always a treat to talk to you all. If you enjoyed this topic, would love it if you did us a favor and like the video. And if you would love to see more content about government contracting websites, but also just in general about website strategy and marketing strategy, subscribe to our channel. We put out content every week, and it's always about how to thrive online. Thanks, Laura.